Kirsten, welcome back. Today I'm coming to you with a TBR overview because it's been a while since I did one of those, and I just had the brilliant idea that we've had a whole load of junk just tossed randomly on our landing, and that junk could profitably be in my TBR shelves instead, because my TBR was kind of a mess. Like, it didn't quite all fit where I wanted it to fit. It was all over the place. So I've tidied it up, I've taken the books off, I've decided that I didn't like fairy tale, I didn't really like the other fantasy sci-fi thing that I read, which was something about a boy in the wind. It didn't stick with me. I didn't hate it, didn't love it. So I'm going to get rid of these two Stephen Kings. And A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth. I think I'm just in the wrong place in my life to read this. I read Brick Lane, which everyone loved a few years ago, and it was just like, I'm over it. And the people who loved this book also loved other books that I really did not get on with. I don't normally get on with their reading taste. So why I thought, hello darling, why I thought I would love this one, I don't know. Everyone's got to have a bit of doggy in their reading, right? Yeah. My cuddly girl. So the reason I'm sitting on the floor when she can reach me is because I want to show you my new shelves. She does, like all dogs love a good story, don't they? They just love when you sit down with a book, and it doesn't matter whether you're reading it out loud or whether you're reading it in your head, they just like to curl up with you. Like a friend's dog, even when Grania, who she's 2, sat down with a book, he immediately jumped into her lap because he knew that she was going to read a book and he was going to have good fun with that. And she doesn't read it, but she's getting there. But dogs love books. Okay, darling, if you're going to stay here, you need to sit down. Okay, so here I've got these. I used to, in the old house, have them in the attic for my comfort reading. So my comfort reading is all like cozy mysteries and school stories books. So, hello, darling. Yes. They're a bit short on the bottom shelf, but let's give it a go. The Stardust Feast, I have absolutely no memory of this. It's really pretty. It was in a silly place where I haven't seen it. I actually have a vague feeling it's a genie book. Not quite sure. Kingdom of Souls is one of those epic fantasy books, I think. Wow, I'm not doing great here, am I? Okay, let's actually look at the synopsis. Chelsea Abdullah, The Stardust Feast. Arabian Nights inspired. Looks vaguely Aladdin-y. There probably is a genie. I'm probably going to like that when I eventually get around to it. I should get around to it at some point. Okay, yes, this is a medical fantasy romance. You can trade your life for a wish. No, for power. Children are disappearing and she's got to catch the child snatcher. Scaredy Cat by Mark Milligan. This is a thriller, a murder, and it is 2 killers who are kind of racing each other to kill. And it looks really grim. Okay, the next is a set of 6. It's the first 6 in a Mill SF series, which I'm just waiting to be in the mood for Mill SF to try, which I often am, but it's like, these are all things which I really like, but they're not like pushed to the forefront. And I'm hoping to get that soon, because if I don't like the first one, I'll just on all 6 at the same time. Anne Cleves writes murder mysteries. Some of them are on the telly. I liked a couple of them. I picked these up just on the name. Princess of Souls. Looks moon-like. Someone who basically acts as the angel of death. It's a TikTok sensation, apparently. Book of Coley. This is eco fiction. Might be quite scary. The trees are killing everyone. Not what trees normally do. Okay, cute. This is another one that's been on my TBR for ages. And it's about a mother who thinks that the system is all right until it fails her daughter, and then she gets fails a test herself in some way, so as to go with her daughter. The Things We Do to Our Friends. This is new this year, I think. It's relatively recent. It's an Edinburgh dark academia. I think there might be a Burke and Hare reference in there. I'm not sure. It's got a beautiful corn snake on the front. You don't often see my corn snake because she doesn't really like to socialise. So I just sit there and look at her. But yeah. Okay. The Gargoyle by Andrew Davidson. Again, this is another one which is kind of looks like I might like it, I might not. I think it's a fantasy romance, but it's described as a bit like a thriller, so it might be a bit genre blending. The Huntress. This is one went on my TBR for a map, and then I bumped it because I got a present for Pesach which I wanted to read. But it is shiny, so shiny. YA ocean fantasy. My Dear Hamilton. This one is The Life of Eliza Hamilton, the other Boleyn girl. There was a film. It is in fact Anne Boleyn, because Mary Boleyn, her sister, was the first lover of Henry VIII. So, you know, that's two historical biographies. Twin Crowns is some kind of romantic royalty fantasy with a blurb that I did not find exciting, but I wanted to give it anyway because I find that's what Fairly is good at. They have blurbs that don't sound exciting, and then I actually do like the book. Why I'm No Longer Talking to White People About Race is a classic of information non-fiction about race. The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. I actually don't know much about this one, but it was my sister's pick for the 12 in 23. Yeah, it might be a mystery. I'm pretty certain I passed this through again before because a lot of my friends liked it. I think. But this year I'm actually going to read it. Okay, Blood Scion by Deborah Fallow. This is gorgeous, isn't it? And again, it's another sort of vaguely medical fantasy, a dead girl walking, bringing the heart of fire, blah, 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 which I normally quite like, but there's a lot of them. But I think this one's probably going to be a good one because it's so pretty. How would you make a pretty book out if it wasn't good? No, that makes no sense. Okay, another one that's pretty is this black and red one, Cruel Illusions, Win or Die. I think it's a vampire murderer book. Caraval meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I was also getting, I can't remember what I was getting vibes on about the vampire killer that, yeah. Okay, then these ones, they're not quite, they're all a bit taller, even the paperbacks, than the school stories I used to keep on here. Or maybe I kept them like, I don't know. So, maybe I only put the books on the top shelves and I had shoes underneath. That seems likely, doesn't it? But I put these on. Okay, Violet Made of Thoughts. This one obviously really loved because Sage got a Sage got an Alcrate version and I got Fairy Loop version. I think it's sort of fairy tale epic fantasy. I don't really know much about it, except it was popular. Again, it's like all magic comes at a price, and there's kind of darkness, gothic fantasy romance. and when you've got to be a good guy, when you've got to be a bad guy, I guess. Belladonna by Adeline Grace. This is another one which people seem to love, but I don't know much about, but it's probably Your Name Is No Curse. I just like the taste of it. I think again it's a dark fantasy, gothic fantasy. Ah yes, someone's causing death. The Last Thing She Told Me. This is about someone who dies, and she says the bodies are buried at the end of the garden is the last thing she says. And the daughter or granddaughter, I forget which, granddaughter has to work out what's going on with that. Water for Elephants. Actually, I'm going to unhaul that right now. I don't know why I put it on there. Tori Hayden, One Child. Again, I'm almost tempted to unhaul this right now. I love Tori Hayden, but her books are super depressing and I just don't need that right now. Yep, gone. Magic Lessons by Alice Hoffman. This is about someone learning magic, and I think it's magical realism. It might verging to lit fic. About love rising from the ashes of war. Yeah, looking at it, it's magical realism, verging on lit fic. I might like it. The Shining I put back because it's such a classic of horror, but I chose other book with clouds. Actually, I found a couple more other books that I'm thinking of I'll get to first with clouds. Dean Koontz I picked up because I loved Dean Koontz as a teenager, but obviously I haven't got to it. The Last Place You Look. This is a thriller. I don't remember anything about it except it looked exciting. That's a lot of these books, isn't it? It's in a cold case, disappearing teenager. Her friend never believed she died, and it turned out she didn't. The Hand, the Eye and the Heart. I believe this is a fairy tale retelling. Yes, this is a Mulan retelling, which is pretty exciting. The Ones We Burn. So this might be Viking-y. Yeah, it's a Viking witchy fantasy romance. A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. Ness writes Irish horror, and this is about a monster who comes to visit while the protagonist's mother is dying and wants stories, and I don't know what happens with the mother. Everything I Never Told You is contemporary romance, I believe. Oh no, it's 1970s, and it's a murder mystery. Ha! Shows how much of that went into my head. Okay. The Library of Lost and Found. This is portal fantasy with books. It looks like it might be in the vein of the Magic Library or something along those lines. So yeah, again, that's a book I've been excited to read ever since I picked it up, but just not got to. The Queensgate Mystery. This is a 40s or 50s, I forget which, young adult mystery. When was it published? The inscription on the side says it's presented as a gift, as a book prize in 1955, but it was first published in 1933. The Explorer. We ended up with 2 copies of this for some reason, which is why it's on my shelf instead of Sage's. I think it's, I was going to say it's Polar Fantasy, but it's not. But I think it's a bit like the Polar Explorers Club. That's the sort of people it's marketed at. Dreams Lie Beneath. Again, I think this is fairy tale. I think this is a modern fairy tale rather than a retelling. Dorothy Sayers, Unnatural Death. I don't know why I haven't got around to this. Dorothy Sayers write very fast mysteries, and I usually like them. Okay. Ekaterina's Idiot. This is another one that always ends up being my like second choice book. I thought it's a bit like Night Watch, maybe a bit like The City in the City. Then I think there are spies. I think there's fantasy, lots and lots of secret, chaos. In the first book, someone's sister turns into a raven, as they do. Yeah. Hello, darling. She's finished her peanut butter and come to meet her. A Day of Full Night. This is the second in the Priory of the Orange Tree. There will be epic. It's basically an epic fantasy in traditional style. And last but not least, Fenris and Mott. Hey! Which is about someone who accidentally adopts a puppy who turns out to be Fenris from Norse mythology. So that is 45 books in August. I said I had 60 books on my physical TBR and I wanted to slim it down to 0 within 4 years. So I think I'm doing all right, actually. Obviously there will be new books coming in, and then I'll read these books and I'll read those books. And I had 3 months in the middle there where I just did not read a physical book at all. Like basically when I had COVID, I couldn't hold a physical book for about 3 months. So that was exciting, but you know, I can read a book now. So yeah, I feel really positive about that. And then these bookshelves will do something else. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for watching and I will see you soon. Bye.